Get this angled a little bit better. Hey guys, how's it going? Today I thought it might be cool to talk a little bit about, I don't think that's working, about singing and playing. So I've been posting a lot of songs lately where I have been singing while playing, and I don't think in the videos I actually posted us playing, or posted me playing and singing at the same time. Maybe I'm saying us because I had multiple videos of me. But yeah, basically these songs that I've been doing, sorry, let me, I'm gonna roll the window down, get a little bit of air in here. Okay. Ugh. Here we go, now that I can breathe. Let's try that again. So, singing and playing, there are a few songs I posted recently that were original songs where I was singing and not playing at the same time for the sake of the video. It was easier to record the things separately. But you can sing and play them at the same time. And how do you approach that as a bass player, right? So first, you really want to know the line very well that you're playing and singing over, and have that almost second nature before you jump in and start singing. So I had one that was like this. It's basically just a blues pattern I've played a lot. Where you play a note, you slide into the next one, and you just little hammer-on, pull-off combination thing. So you get it down to where basically you could talk over it like I was just doing. I was thinking of things to say while playing it. So it's almost second nature. But if you can't get to that point with something, then what you might need to do is see where the words line up with certain notes and where they don't. So that's kind of the thing. So I'm gonna start with that song. This is my song, On My Knees. It's on my channel. It's a couple videos back. But I'm gonna start with this one and just kind of give you the idea. So first, you have this line, right? Singing sounds like this. Out all day and up all night, can't find a way to make things right. Gone too long to have a home. Sick and tired of staying alone. I'm just asking, baby, please, don't leave me out here on my knees. So let's just start with that. That's like the first verse, right? So we've got out all day and up all night. Let's just start with that line. So the first thing is, do the words start before or after the line comes in? They happen after in this case. Out. So it's like you hit a note, then the first word happens. So you may need to go in and kind of like write the words down and sort of write underneath it where the notes happen. Is it before? Is it right with? Or is it after? And we can figure out how much before and how much after doing this, right? So with that first part, out all day and up all night, right? So that was really loose on that bass line, but you notice that I played a note, then said out all day. So it's like on the word all, I think, is where I hit this note. Let's see if that's right. Out all day, out all day, out all. So I think I said all right when I do that note that I slide. Out all day. And then the word day happens after that. Out all day. And so it's like the first part of day. The first part, there's not a note being plucked. But then right after that, there is a note being plucked. Out all day. So, out all day. So it's like halfway through the word, I'm going to get to that note. So if we were doing that with this particular song, the bass line would be 3rd fret on the A string. Then we're going to slide from the 5th fret to the 7th fret on the A string. Then we're going to play the 5th fret on the D string. Then the 7th fret. Then back to the 5th fret. So that was all of those last few notes were on the D string. D as in dog. And I'm kind of doing a slide here, and I'm hitting this note and then doing a pull off from the 7 back to the 5. 3, slide from 5 to 7, then 5, 7, pull off back to 5. Okay, so knowing that, you could go as far as knowing the rhythm of each thing. So we've got 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So that's beat 1, 1 and 2 and. That slide is on the and after that. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So if you know that, that'll really help. But you don't have to know that in order to line them up. It's just a helpful thing. So 1 and 2 and. So that slides on the and after beat 2. 1 and 2 and. Nothing's on beat 3. And 4 and at the end. And 4 and. All of those are being played. So when I do the vocals, out all day, that's like, so then we can just figure out basically by downbeats and upbeats where the vocals are coming in. Out all day. So luckily on this one, the vocals are also doing 8th notes. Out all day. So then it's just a matter of figuring out, are they on upbeats or downbeats? So beat 1, there's nothing happening vocally. And then on the upbeat after beat 1, I say the word out. Out. So 1 and, that's on the and after beat 1. Out. So we got out, nothing on beat 2 either. So this is a very syncopated melody. Out all day. So this is 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. And so we got to figure out how those line up. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 out. So 1 out. 1 and 2 and. So that doesn't happen until the end. And then out happens on the upbeat after beat 1. Out. So out. Oh. And then all is on the next upbeat. Well, that's where the slide was, the upbeat after beat 2. Out. Oh. So those line up. Out. Oh. So there's a bass note, the word out, and then when I say all, that's right when that slide happens. Out all day. When I say day, it's only the word. That's on the downbeat of beat 3. Out all day. Right? So that's the downbeat. And there's and the bass line, that's a note that's not being hit. 1 and 2 and 3. Nothing on beat 3. I'm actually letting go of the note on beat 3. Out all day. And then on the second half of day, which is that next upbeat after beat 3, so 1 and 2 and day A, right? Day A, that's where the next bass note happens. So it's kind of tricky to get used to, but basically you have to see, oh, toe in the water. Hi, thanks for checking in. Good to see you. It's midnight over where you're at. That's crazy. Thanks for tuning in anyway. Okay, in the UK, awesome. Yeah, so normally I do live streams on Thursday at this time, but this week I have a rehearsal that's getting in the way of the live stream schedule. So I'm doing this the first Wednesday this month. It's usually on the first Thursday of the month, although lately sometimes it's been on the second week. So if you're lucky to catch me, I appreciate y'all being here and hanging out. But yeah, this is kind of a thing. So if you're playing and singing, because it's not just like memorizing a strum pattern, we kind of have to know where things line up and where they don't. So you can choose to count it like I'm doing. For me, that gives me a grid, so I know, oh, okay, I'm supposed to be saying this word on beat 3. It kind of helps to give me a reference point. If you don't need that reference point, you just need to know when they're together and when they're apart, that's fine. But basically, on this song right here, you play a note, then you say out on the upbeat after beat 1, and then you slide on the upbeat after beat 2. So nothing happens on beat 2, neither vocally nor on the bass guitar. Out. So 1 out, nothing on beat 2, but then on the and all. Then the next downbeat is just vocals. Day, a, right? Out. So out all day. Oh, I can't even do it now. Out all day. And so then there's no other words in that line. Out all day. And just the and at the end of it. Out all day. And that lines up with the and after beat 4. So note out. Then you wait for all. That's the next upbeat. Then day. A, and so one way to see how it lines up is to go really slowly. If you're trying to figure out a song that you're learning, one good reference is to use YouTube and slow it down a lot. So if you can't tell, oh, did that word happen before the note or did the note happen before the word? This is also overwhelming. You can use their slowdown feature. So you go to the little settings, little gear looking thing, or sometimes it's in the ... depending on if you're on iPhone or Android, unless they've changed them to be the same now. And you can change the speed. And so if you change the speed for it to be a good bit slower, you could do 75% speed, or you could do 50% speed if you don't mind that it's going to sound grainy and weird. That way you can kind of tell when the bass note's hitting and when the vocals are happening, and know the bass line going into this process. But it may take that. So it's like guitar players have it a little bit easier in some respects when they're strumming and singing, because they have downbeats and upbeats, they have down strums and up strums, especially with basic songs. I know it can get a lot more complicated. But with like basic strum patterns, they're doing downbeats when they're doing their down strums and upbeats when they're doing their up strums. But we're doing something a little more sparse with this bass line. But it's the same idea, because you could go and make a strum pattern out of it that has the same rhythm. But yeah, sometimes I think with bass you have to keep track of the downbeats a little bit better. One thing that helps is like patting your toe in your shoe. If you're singing, you don't really want to pat your foot really loud, but maybe patting your toe in the shoe with the downbeats, just to kind of like have an internal clock kind of going on, or having a way to keep track of the time. So can bob your head, but that might get in the way of the singing too. Sometimes when I'm playing, I look like I'm kind of dancing a little bit, and that's because that's the easiest way for me to keep the rhythm. Out all day and up all night. So let's go with that next line, and up all night. So 1 out all day and up all. So that's going to be a downbeat followed by an upbeat. Out, so out all day. Oh man, it's so hard to do. Out. It's hard to do slowly, because once you get it down, it becomes muscle memory, and then you have to go through this process again. Out all day and up all. So and up all night. Up all. So up all night. So on that one, up all at the beginning of the second time of that same bass pattern, you're saying the word up right when you hit that note. Up all, and then the word all is on the upbeat after that. Up all night, and then we're waiting for that and after beat 2 for the word night. Night. So let me get to that point from the beginning of the song. Out all day and up all night. And the rest of the bass line just happens without the words. So the hardest part here, I think, is keeping track of how long you're holding the note for, or how long you're resting for if it's a rest. Out all day. See, I keep wanting to say day right with that one, but I know in my mind, oh, I'm supposed to say day by itself. Out all day and up all night. It was supposed to be night is where I was supposed to do that. So what I would do normally is write this down so I know where it lines up and where it doesn't. So if you write the words out all day and up all night, so you have all that written out. I wish I had a piece of paper to demonstrate this for you. Then underneath it, you could write the bass line. So it doesn't even have to be the line. It could just be the rhythm of the line. So let me see if I have a pen in the glove box. I think I can use the back of this receipt and bear down on the U-bass. But I would like y'all to see that. And even if it's mirror image, we'll just have to go with it. You might be able to watch it later and it should flip it back around. But I do need to figure out what happened to all my pens. There should be a pen in here. Oh no. Here's one. A pencil. Mechanical pencil. Okay. That will work. So I might write 1N, 2N, 3N, 4N, knowing that the smallest subdivisions that I'm using are eighth notes. And I'll write it twice because we're doing the first two lines. So above those, I'm going to write where the words line up. So we've got nothing on beat 1. Out. So out happens entirely over the and of beat 2. So I'm writing 1N, 2N, 3N, 4N. I'm really hoping it's not doing the mirror image thing, but I think I've already been told that it is. Notice that the word out is over the and right here. So 1. Out. Out all day. Okay, that next one was an upbeat, and it was the next upbeat that happened. So I'm going to write all over the next and. Out all day. So day happens on beat 3. But like the da part of day. Day. So that day. I'm going to write an extra AY over the and after beat 3. So now we've got 1 out all day. And so the word and is going to happen over the and after beat 4. And then the next word is up, which ironically is on a downbeat. Up all. And then all is on the upbeat after beat 1 of the next measure. I'm going to draw a line so you know where the measure is. Up all night. And then night is on the end after beat 2. And there's nothing on beats 3 and 4 and. There's nothing happening there. So that's our words over our timing and how it lines up syllable wise. So words add 2 syllables, or where I'm holding the note out, there's like 2 different notes happening here. It changes note over the and of beat 3. So I wrote day instead of day. So I turned it into like a 2-syllable word. Up all night. Dun, dun, dun. So now what does our bass line do? Our bass line goes 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So underneath beat 1, I need to write a little something just to let us know that a note happens there. You could write the note letter names out if you wanted to. I might do that for now just to help, but I might just write like a little dot under each one just so I know it's being played. But why not? 1 out, 2 all, boom, boom. So the slide into E happens here. Okay, so I'm writing the letter names in right here, but you could just write little marks so that you know what's happening. C and to E, and 4 and says G, A, G at the end. C and to E and dun dun. So it was C and to dun 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 dun. So that's what I'm doing there, and I slid into the E. So that's why there's a little line going there, just to remind me that that's where the slide is happening. So now what I like to do is circle where the words line up with the bass line. So the word all happens during that slide. So I'm going to circle that one. So I know, okay, those are supposed to happen at the same time. and you go day. Okay, so the last half of the word day is supposed to happen when I hit the G right here. Day. Okay? And then the word and is supposed to happen when the other G happens. And then on the next measure, up happens here. Well, I'm gonna write the bass line again underneath here before we do that, but it'll line up with it, that's the point. So the word up lines up, the all is just the vocals, and the word night lines up with the slide on the E. Hoping you guys can see that pretty clearly. If it's backwards, hopefully it'll flip back around when the video is not live anymore. Crossing my fingers that it'll do that. But here we go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So that's the bass line, but look at the only places where the vocals line up with the bass line, that slide on the E and then those 2 G's right there. And then the second measure, it'll be the word up lines up with the note on beat 1, but it's on a downbeat ironically. And then the and after beat 2, so once again that's sliding into that E, that'll have that word there. So now I should be able to play it slowly without messing it up. And this is what I would do to develop the muscle memory that I obviously already had on this one, which is why it was hard to do slow a second ago. So this is what I would have to do if it wasn't coming to me naturally, right? So I'm gonna put this down here. Unfortunately, I can't figure out a way to hold this up where we can both see it. But now I can play this. 1, so. Out all day and up all night. Right? So now all of a sudden it's lining up. And you go as slow as you need to be able to know which words happen where and to make sure that you're kind of following along with the timing. So that's a really, really good tool for working on how to line the vocals up with what you're playing. But it's not easy. It does take a lot of coordination. So what I would do is practice both of those separate and then practice them together. So if you know the timing, you can go 1 out, 2 all day, 4 and up all night. So you kind of know the way it lines up rhythmically too. And then just play the bass line. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Then add them together. Out all day and up all night. And find a way to make things right. Gone too long to have a home. Sick and tired of staying alone. I'm just asking, baby, please don't leave me out here on my knees. So you get the idea of how to line all that up. So we don't really need to go through the whole rest of the song. That is just an example of what you can do. So then there are some songs where I did write the vocals separate of the bass line, so I will have to go through those to get to the point where I can play them too if I want to be able to play them and sing them live at the same time. I'll wait for the sirens to pass by real quick. Triumphant turtle tries to beat the harsh shot sun, walking fast as he can to get back home. Continue on your way. You can make it okay. That's the part where I'm gonna have to write it out to get it how I really want it. So what I'd probably do is write the vocal melody down first on that one. But yeah, basically that's kind of the process for it. So with this one, the bass line's a little bit trickier because the octave jump, and then you got this little hammer on here. So that's basically the line that happens underneath the words. Triumphant. So the first part, it lines up a lot with the bass line. Triumphant turtle. So it's like the word triumphant. Triumph. Try happens the second time you hit a G. 1, 2. So let's see. So depending on how you count this, it might be thinking about it in swung 16th notes, or it might be thinking about it in 8th notes. So why don't we try to make it 8th notes? So I'll count the rhythm like this fast: 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. And so it's already got a little bit of syncopation on that second measure of the line, as you can hear. So it's basically just knowing the words triumphant, they line up with like the last 3 notes of that pattern. So boom, ba-dum, that's where you go, triumphant. So that's not as much of a difficult coordination thing. It's just about remembering how long not to sing. Triumphant turtle. And then turtle is weird. Triumphant turtle. It's like the tool lines up with the first note of the F chord when we get there. So, triumphant turtle tries to beat the harsh-shot sun. So it's kind of the same thing where the first part of the melody lines up with the bass line, and then the second part, it's like the melody keeps going even though the bass line is now resting. So 1, 2, and 3, and 4. So that's 1, 2, and 3, and the triumphant comes in on the and 3 and 3 and. So and 3 and. So the first 2 notes don't have a word with them. And these are, just for the record, you can go and listen to the song if you want to, but the first notes in the song are the 3rd fret on the E string and the 5th fret on the D string, then back to the 3rd fret on the E string, and then you're going to jump down to the G string and do the 4th fret and hammer onto the 5th fret. So this hand is having to jump around. And then on the first 2 notes, there's no words, but then when you hit the 3rd note, that's when you say try, triumphant. And then when you do umphant, triumphant, it lines up with those 2 notes. And then, by the way, there's more coordination here because you're hitting that note and then hammering onto the other one. Triumphant turtle. Okay, so we got, it lines up for triumphant, triumphant, and then tur is by itself of tool, turtle, it's by itself, turtle, and then on the tool part, those line up. Once again, we could go in and write them over a grid like this where you have the timing. You just write the timing out, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Only this one, we're moving kind of quick. We're going 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and I may have written them as 16th notes if you go and look at the music, but we're counting them as 8th notes just to make this a little bit easier to line up the singing. And they're swung, so it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and instead of going 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, so they're not evenly spaced out, they're swinging 8th notes. So I only have this page to write on, and I didn't leave a lot of room, so I'm going to write a line and write underneath that. And I'm going to write 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 times. And then we're going to write the bass line. I'm not going to write the notes this time. I'm just going to write where they hit. 1, 2, and 3 and. So 1, 2, and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 2 and 3, 4. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So if I set it without the notes that I'm not playing, you are hitting on beat 1. So you got 1, 2, and 3, and we're not playing on 4 and. Then the next measure, we're not playing on beat 1, but we are playing on the and after beat 1. And 3, 4. So that's where we're playing. So if I counted 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and clapped where we're playing, it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And so hopefully that helps a little bit. But that's the bass line. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And then we're saying triumphant, triumphant. It's on the last 3 notes of the bass line in this measure. So not on the first 2, but on the 3rd, 4th, and 5th note. We're gonna write try over the first one, umph, and then ant. So boom, boom, triumphant. I wrote it 1 too early. So it's the and. I'm gonna have to erase. It's not erasing so well. Not the best eraser. So umph is over beat 3, and then ant, triumphant is over the and after beat 3. Then let's see what happens. 1 and 2, triumphant, ter. So that's on the and after beat 4. So I'm gonna write ter. T. Wow, that's the most horrible T I've ever written. You are. So triumphant, ter, tool. So then tool doesn't happen until the and after beat 1. So this is kind of how it would look. So you go, okay, just on this bottom part, 1, 2, and 3, and no words over beat 1, but there is a bass note. There's a bass note over beat 2, but no words. Then the and after beat 2, bass note and try. Then beat 3, they all line up too. Beat 4, so and 3 and all line up. Triumphant. Then beat 4, there's nothing happening on it. And the and after beat 4, it's just a word, no bass line. So these little dots above the counting, those represent the bass line notes. And this is just the rhythm of it. It's not the notes themselves. You should already know the bass line. If you're trying to sing and play it, you should kind of already know the bass line in advance. So then you can write out the rhythm, so you have that. And then ter happens by itself on the and after beat 4. And then when I say tool, there's a bass note with that one. So one thing visually that I like to do, yet again, is circle where they line up. So try, fant, all line up. Ter does not, so I'm not gonna circle that one. Tool does, so I'm gonna circle that one. And that's it for that first little 2-measure phrase. So just that this bottom half underneath that line. So now I can play along and go triumphant, right? Triumphant, tool. So, triumphant, oh, not supposed to play there. Triumphant, oh, that's hard. Triumphant, nope. Triumphant, turtle. It's really hard to do slow. Triumphant, I want to play a note there. So this is the whole point, right? You go slow enough to where you don't mess up like I'm doing right now. Now, I have the muscle memory at the faster speeds. You might find that you can do it at faster speeds. If you can with a song, there's no need to break it down like this. But when you're having trouble or you feel like the melody's wrong, then you're gonna have to go in and break it down like this and build it up to speed. And that's the easiest way. But yeah, it's triumphant turtle. tries to beat the harsh, hot sun. So it's kind of the same rhythm. Harsh, hot sun, I guess there's an extra word in there, so it's a little bit different. But yeah, that's kind of my method to learning to sing and play at the same time. So you can write out the rhythm. If you don't like writing out the rhythm, you could just write like placeholders for 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. But to me, having where the numbers hit versus where the ands are hitting really gives you an idea of where you are in the measure. And so it really helps to like line the bass line up. Okay, so that's the basic idea. And once again, I wrote these melodies separate of writing the bass line. So when I was singing over the thing, I had already recorded, like when I originally wrote these songs, I had recorded the bass line and recorded like maybe a guitar part too. And then I was singing over the top of that. So a lot of things might be easier than this because they might have sang and played them at the same time. But if they wrote them separately like this, or if they're just really complex writers, like if you're trying to learn a Rush song, I've had to do this kind of thing with trying to learn a Rush song before. So if you're trying to sing and play those, you may want to take it this analytically at first. And after a while, you might develop a feel for it, and you might not have to do this as much, but this helps you to develop the coordination. And that's my story, even though when I was doing it just now, I was having trouble not playing even though the word wasn't circled. So come up with like a style of writing it out that works for you. But for me, that's helped in certain things for me to remember, okay, these words line up here, they don't over here. And you can use the counting as a placeholder, but if the counting is bogging you down, the main thing is just seeing where they line up and where they don't. So I'm gonna go back to the other song. Out all day and up all night. Okay, so that line, it's like bass note out. So bass note on the downbeat, out on the upbeat, everything plays together. Out. So out all day. You get it. So that's the idea there. Day and up all night. Same thing there. And so then the extra coordination happens when you have techniques you have to throw in too. So first start with how it lines up, and maybe take things like slides out of the bass line. Maybe hammer-ons and slides can come back in later, and just get the timing down first, and then go back in and add the slides in for that extra coordination. You don't have to though. Sometimes it might be nice to just leave them in. But if something feels too complex, you can always break it down into its most basic components, figure out where those components line up, then add the techniques back into the bass line after the fact. So hopefully that helps. I'm not sure how much of you guys are doing, I'm not sure how many of you are doing singing while you're playing, but it's a good challenge. You could also just practice speaking the words if you're like, oh no, I'm having to think about the melody and the bass line and the words and all this. Well, try speaking the words, right? So that's a good way to do it too. Out. So, out all day. Sorry, I can't do this. I can't do this while thinking this slow. It's hard to do, so take your time with it. Out all day and up all night. Right? And that wasn't a good example of taking everything out, so I would take the slide out and just play an E if that made it easier. Out all day and up all night. I can't take the slide out because of my muscle memory. It makes it harder to do, but you get the idea. You could take it out, or you could practice doing the techniques at the same time and just take the melody out and just practice speaking the words too. That might make it helpful. So like, triumphant turtle, tries to beat the harsh, hot sun, right? So you could do that kind of thing too. So if you have any questions about this, let me know in the comments below. I'm starting to, basically just getting hungry, so my brain's not working clearly. So if you notice I'm pausing a lot in the middle of sentences, and I know I'm making excuses. Don't be like me, don't make excuses. But I think that's also the reason why it's taken me a little bit longer to like get those to line up too. So also make sure to eat enough, but if you're singing, probably make sure it's a couple hours before you play so you don't burp while you're singing. I've had that happen at restaurants before. All right, so let's see what Leah says. I'm a singer and I'm still learning to play bass. I have a few songs I sing while playing bass ukulele. It's not easy. That's the other thing. Start with simpler songs with simpler bass lines. So this is really syncopated. This has a lot of stuff going on. You could start with something with like a country bass line where you know you're playing the downbeats. And then that way you may just have to figure out what the melody that you're singing over it is doing. Is it singing on upbeats? Is it singing 16th notes? Where does it line up with the bass line? Where does it not? So yes, these are definitely not the best songs to start out with because there's a lot of syncopation going on. There are some songs that have a lot less syncopation or where the bass line is a lot simpler. So, I mean, even something like punk rock where it's like a steady flow of eighth notes, that might take some of the difficulty out of the coordination. Although you still have to remember when to change certain notes. So I'm trying to think of some songs that like don't change very often. For some reason I'm thinking Some Kind of Wonderful, but I don't know the words well enough to sing that along with it. So that's not a good example for me to give. Yeah, it's hard to come up with examples, but you could find songs that have quarter note bass lines. That might be like the easiest one. It's 1:40 a.m. Well, thank you so much for being a trooper and hanging out. And I'm so sorry for you guys that were expecting me to be here tomorrow for a live stream. And anybody that's seeing this later and seeing that, basically when I have like gigs and rehearsals and lessons and things that conflict, the live stream ends up moving. So I don't end up moving the other things, I end up moving the live stream. So I apologize for that. I know it makes it really difficult for you guys to hang out and watch, but I appreciate y'all finding your way. And if you don't watch it live, you can always watch the replay and you can leave comments on the replay, and I think YouTube notifies me about those as well, so I should be able to reply to your questions and stuff as well. I know occasionally some slip through the cracks. Sometimes it's like if a question is really difficult and I don't have an answer right away for it, I'm like, oh, let me think on it. And then I think on it so long it gets pushed down, and I feel bad about those. So sometimes you'll see me answer one a month later or something. Moon River, is that a good one? So there, yeah, a sparse bass line where you're doing like whole notes or half notes or quarter notes, because if you're keeping the time, you can figure out how the singing is going against that. So, oh, Summertime is a good one as well. It depends on how you're playing Summertime. There's so many different versions of that one. You know, you could be going. Summertime, and the living is easy. Right? You could be doing that, but you could also just be going. You could do like a bossa nova version of it. Summertime, and the living is easy. Fish are jumping, and the cotton is high. Right, so you could do that kind of thing too. Or you could do a walking bass line. That's kind of an interesting thing. I think walking bass lines are harder, as you're having to remember all the different notes, but they're easier rhythmically to coordinate, right? So if you're doing like, if you have a pattern that's just repetitive, summertime, and the living is easy. Fish are jumping and the cotton is high. Oh, your daddy's rich and your mama's good looking. Hush, little baby, don't you cry. I think that's harder because I'm having to come up with the bass line while I'm playing. So it's like you're improvising a little bit with the bass line while trying doing the melody, while doing all that. So it's better if you just have something repetitive. So you could also do a root fifth line with that. Although I think if you do the root fifth line, the bossa nova one's kind of nice. Summertime and the living is easy. So that's probably an easier way to do it. Fish are jumping and the cotton is high. Since I'm adding little fills in there when I'm not having to sing and play at the same time, and it's just the playing. You could also just do quarter notes on the roots, right? Gives it a little more of a dramatic, kind of intense vibe, but you could do that to practice, especially. Summertime and the living is easy. Fish are jumping and the cotton is high. Oh, your daddy's rich. And you might be doing a different version that doesn't change, do the changes the same way I am. That song has been done so many different times that it could be any of those kinds of things. But you can use those as tools to figure out your timing, right? You could also just hit a note and sing, right? Summertime and the living is easy. So it's like, are those half notes or whole notes? Depends on how you're counting it. I think I'm counting at that speed. Summertime. So they're whole notes. And the living is easy. Fish are jumping and the cotton is high, right? Okay, so you get the idea. So you can do all sorts of different things, vary it up. You can break the bass line down. A lot of times when people play, they'll simplify the bass line. So like on that song where I was going, you might leave out the, and that might make it easier. Out all day and up all night, can't find a way to make things right. Gone too long to have a home. And just do that while you're singing, and then add the other part back in if it's like underneath a guitar solo or, you know, just the intro. If it's too hard for you to get all of that stuff lined up. And then the other song, Triumphant Turtle, I'm trying to think of how you would simplify that. It might change the feel entirely on that one. So that one might be a little bit trickier to do that with. Triumphant turtle. You do quarter notes. Tries to beat the harsh-hot sun, walking fast as he can. But that's also a good way to feel when you're doing upbeats with the words, because the upbeats will be when you're not playing a note. Triumph. So it's like even that first one's an upbeat. Triumphant turtle. And then you can tell that tur came before measure 2 because I hadn't switched chords yet. Triumphant tur. See, I haven't played the F yet. Triumphant turtle. So that's the other thing you could do, is you could simplify the bass line down to quarter notes, down to root fifth line, down to whole notes, half notes, but just do something simpler during the singing parts. So it might be taking the easy way out, but if you're just learning how to get your coordination with singing and playing, you want to make it as easy as possible. But yeah, that's about it for the singing and playing. Those are the main tips I have. So just to kind of recap, I'll do that real quick, and then that'll be about it. But basically, first, figure out the timing of your singing, right? So if you're listening to a song, you can listen to, does the bass line line up with certain words? Write them both out, circle the words where they line up. So that's the way to do it without rhythm. If you weren't going to go that route of writing out the timing and having it take all that extra time, that's what I would do. Write out the words and then circle the ones where a bass note lines up with it, and then try to figure out where a bass note happens where the word doesn't happen, or where a word happens where a bass note doesn't happen. So yeah. If you have the sheet music, you can kind of do that kind of thing too, right? Where you have the bass line, and then you can write the words where they line up and leave space to write the words that don't line up in between. Okay, so you do that, and then when you're practicing, you can speak the words, so you're not having to worry about the melody of the singing. You're just focusing 100% on the timing. That's one thing, and then having it line up with the bass part. And before you even line it up with the bass part, you could pat your foot while you're singing, like triumphant turtle, to try to figure out which words are on upbeats versus downbeats, because that helps too. Okay, and then the hardest part, I think, is once you've done all this analytical stuff, is getting the emotion back into the songs. So that's tricky, and I think taking this route at first, your singing might sound more mechanical because you're trying to figure out how to get it to line up with what you're playing. And then you kind of have to go back in once you get the muscle memory a little bit with the bass line, where if you're so solid on the bass line, you can start deviating from what you learned on the melody. Then you can put some of the emotion back in. But yeah, basically break them down to their simplest components. If the bass line's too hard, figure out how you want to simplify it. And there are plenty of ways to do it. Like I was saying with my Triumphant Turtle song, I really like my bass line. Triumphant turtle tries to beat the harsh-shot sun. But I get that there's a lot of syncopation going on with both of those things. So you may just want to dumb it down to quarter notes. Triumphant turtle tries to beat the harsh-hot sun, walking fast as he can. And then figure out just where the chords change, you know, like where it goes from being centered around a G note, 3rd fret on the E string, versus being centered around an F note, which is 1st fret on the E string. Yep. So you break it down into core components. You decide if you want to simplify the line or not. You practice it very slowly so you know if you're getting the notes and words to line up where they're supposed to, and you notice when there's just a word and not supposed to be a note, you're making sure that you're not playing a note, which I was actually having trouble doing that slowly with Triumphant Turtle, even though I can play it faster. I'm gonna try it again slow and see if it happens again. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, and 2. Okay. So, Triumphant Turtle. There's a lot of patience when you slow it down that much, right? 1, 2, and 3, and so 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, triumphant turtle. But notice I had to wait a really long time without playing. So it's like it helps to have that visual cue a little bit for me. If it doesn't help for you, try doing it with just the sound, but you can hear the sound kind of against the downbeats and upbeats if you pat your foot while you're playing along. So I hope this is helpful for you guys. I hope you found some tip in here that helps you to play and sing at the same time. But I want to thank you guys for tuning in so much. I think I'm going to play one more song for you. I feel like I should be singing and playing. So I'm going to try to do Triumphant Turtle. I might simplify the chorus, take my own advice, and just play quarter notes on the chorus. But we'll see. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. Triumphant turtle tries to beat the harsh-shot sun, walking fast as he can to get back home. Continue on your way. You can make it okay. Don't stop in the heat. Get back on your feet. Tired turtle, he he began to slow down. The sun under its peak make him frown. Continue on your way. You can make it okay. Don't stop in the heat. Get back on your feet. Sun now high. The turtle give up. Prepare to die. But girl, she pick him up. She take him home. She treat him well. Here he has been saved from dying in his cell. Continue on your way. You can make it okay. Girl, she saved your life. Now you made it alright. Right. So with that one, what I kind of did was I changed the vocal rhythm to make it work. And that's a sign that I haven't done this enough for that chorus part. So I need to go back in and do that before I can play this one out live, before I'm truly ready to. But I can kind of get away with it, just changing the bass line rhythm slightly, simplifying a little bit, or changing what I'm doing vocally just to make it easier in the moment. But if you don't have a lot of experience with this, it may be too hard to do that, and you may just have to break it down and just get the timing. I should have done the chorus like with quarter notes, like I said I was gonna do. Continue on your way. See, you've made it okay. Don't stop in the heat. And get back on your feet. Tired turtles. That's another option I could have done. He began to slow down. I'll try it again. The sun under his peak make him frown. Continue on your way. You can make it okay. Don't stop in the heat. And get back on your feet. So here it's really obvious that I'm doing that, but if I were playing with a drummer and a ukulele player that was playing the chords, then maybe it wouldn't sound so obvious that that's what I'm doing, that I'm simplifying the part to do that. It may just sound like, oh, it's a different section of the song. It might free the drummer up to do something different. But yeah, so hopefully this gives you some ideas. Have fun playing and trying to do this kind of thing with whatever song you're choosing. Once again, using YouTube, their slow playback feature it's a really good thing to use if you're trying to figure out where words actually line up with the notes and where they don't. But thank you for hanging out, and I will see you guys next time. Have a good month as far as the live streams go, and I'll see you a little bit later for a my monthly lesson that kind of happens, the arrangement videos. All right, I'll see you guys next time. Have a good one. Cheers.